Through the years, there are endless stories of veteran NFL quarterbacks who let rookies fend for themselves, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and others who took the young guy under their wing. Our Matt Hasselbeck. He was drafted by Green Bay, where he backed up Brett Favre for 3 seasons, and later he served in a mentor role with Jake Locker in Tennessee and then Andrew Luck with the Colts. So Matt joins us now by phone. So Matt, what are your impressions of how Ben is publicly handling the situation in Pittsburgh?
Well, Susie, it's disappointing, and it shows, quite honestly, just a lack of leadership on Ben Roethlisberger's part. I mean, when I read his comments and then I hear them, it's the epitome of immaturity and selfishness, quite honestly. Like, why say this on the radio? This has been my question for Ben Roethlisberger for years now. Understand who you are and the power of your words in Pittsburgh. You're the most successful quarterback in Pittsburgh Steelers history. There's going to be a statue of you in Pittsburgh someday. Understand that the radio station, your radio show, is not the proper medium to express these feelings that you may have. Close the door, talk to the GM, talk to the head coach. I mean, he was just recently, he was saying, hey, Antonio Brown is causing a distraction that none of us need. That is exactly what you're doing. And if he would have closed the door and had that conversation with the team, I think it would have gone something like this. Hey, Ben, you've only played 16 games 3 times in your NFL career. You've missed 7 games in the last 3 years. In the last 2 years, you've been toying with us saying, hey, I might retire, I might retire. It's not surprising at all that they drafted a quarterback. I'm just surprised at how Ben has handled the situation.
And Matt, we know you played for a number of teams. We're in lots of different locker rooms and quarterback rooms. What situation did you go through that most closely resembles this?
Well, listen, every year is different. I remember my first year, I come into a room with Brett Favre and Doug Peterson and Rick Meyer, and all those guys were tremendous in their different ways. But this reminds me most similar to a situation when I was in Seattle. Pete Carroll came in, and they traded away our 3rd-round pick to sign Charlie Whitehurst. At the time, sure, maybe I felt like Ben did. And, I felt like, hey, maybe you could have gotten a 3rd-rounder to help us on some other part of the field, an offensive lineman, a DB, a wide receiver, something like that. But guess what? Like, he says, how does this help us now? Well, Charlie Whitehurst had to win a game against the Rams in Week 17 to get us into the playoffs that year. That's how it helps you right now. If Ben's not able to play in all 16 games, which he's shown that he's not going to be able to do, then you might need a quarterback. Maybe it's Mason Rudolph. Maybe it's Landry Jones. Maybe it's Josh Jacobs. So you'll need somebody to step up, and it could be the difference between hosting the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh or having to go to New England and play him there. That's how he helps you right now.
Hey, Matt, we'll let you go, and we'll turn to our set here. Andrew, let's start with you, because every situation is so different. You heard Matt talk about a couple different ones. And then the dynamic in the locker room. I mean, what have you seen? What was it like in the locker room when these things are going on?
I'll start by saying this. I don't think every quarterback has a duty to mentor a rookie quarterback. Right? Every situation is different. I was in Cleveland in 2014. We drafted Manziel in the 1st round when Hoyer was still trying to be the starter. So it makes sense that it's a competition. Even the Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't be surprised if Flacco said, hey, I'm not mentoring Jackson because he's there to compete. Flacco still wants to play. But in this specific situation, this is a problem that Ben created. You've teased retirement every single offseason, in the middle of seasons. You've alluded to you not feeling like you wanted to play anymore. What are the Steelers supposed to do? I'm from Western Pennsylvania. The Steelers didn't become great by relying on players and letting them hold them hostage. They were great before Ben Roethlisberger. They're going to make sure they do whatever they need to be great after he leaves. So, of course, they're going to draft a contingency plan, and it should be your duty to mentor him because the city of Pittsburgh and the organization has been incredible to you on and off the field.
I'm going to defer to the players as to whether or not players have a responsibility to mentor younger players. But what I will say is this, and Matt made this point. Why is this the forum that Ben decided to address this specific issue through? Why not go right to Kevin Colbert, their general manager, or Mike Tomlin, or perhaps say nothing at all? By stating his case publicly, Ben basically pouted. And he made this an issue that if he had not said this comment publicly ever, which was totally feasible, part of the responsibility that is incumbent upon a starting quarterback, particularly one that's been the starter since the middle of the 2004 season, is not to protect the organization, but to make sure that you are sending out messages that are in line with the organizational beliefs. Ben knows why the team drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round. He understands, and yet he had to go off on this not tangent, but this message-sending radio interview that all of a sudden is causing us to talk about the Steelers in this light on May 10th of the offseason?